listen up. This is the Music Scene Podcast. I am your host, Dave Kudrak. I've got a very special conversation for you guys today. I had the pleasure of sitting down and speaking with Chuck M. Many of you know Chuck from being the host of an open mic at Death of a Fox Brewing Company in Clarksboro, New Jersey. He also is a regular around other open mics in the area. A lot of you know that he has a very strong and powerful voice. Many times we joke around that he does not need a microphone when singing in many rooms, which is interesting because in our conversation, we talked about how when he first attempted to sing, he was not encouraged by a particular person in his life, which we'll get into. But the fact that he was able to overcome such an obstacle and get to where he is now is pretty amazing. So I hope you enjoy the conversation as much as I did. Here is my talk with Chuck M. All right, what's happening, Chuck?
I don't know.
Thanks for being here.
This is. I think it's the first time I've done a podcast.
Is it really?
Yeah, cool. I've been told I have a face for radio, so
that's not very nice. No, I appreciate you. I appreciate you doing this.
Behind
sweet.
you there's a microphone with a pop filter on there. Yeah, put that on there. That'll clear up the poppies.
Yeah, no problem. I know there's a condom joke in here somewhere.
You put that on pretty fast. You have some experience.
Anyway, so tell me a little bit about how you first got started in music.
It's weird. So when I was younger, I always, I'd always enjoyed music.
Sure.
I'd enjoy listening to it. If you remember the Columbia House things where you would get like 10 CDs for like $1, and then there was a subscription after. Yeah. I would keep like doing those and like getting CDs and stuff back in the day.
Sure.
I remember me and my cousin Gary kind of started playing guitar around the same time when we were teenagers. No, maybe we weren't even teenagers yet. 11, 12, probably right around there. Mm-hmm. And I had taken like 6 months of guitar lessons, and my parents, they got me a guitar because they didn't know what to get. They got me a classical guitar.
Oh, I think my very first one might have had nylon strings, kind of a classical one.
Yeah. This would have been late 80s, early 90s. Mm-hmm. So it was punk and like the end of hair metal and the rise of grunge. Sure. So I'm playing power chords on a classical guitar. And so, the first song I learned was "Come As You Are" by Nirvana.
Okay, nice. Did you learn the intro riff and everything too?
Yeah, that's about all I learned. Kind of life happened. My cousin stuck with guitar. I kind of like dabbled, and then I had gotten away from it. I had gotten into a church that wasn't I wouldn't recommend.
Oh, okay.
it was pretty extreme, and because the idea was that the rock music was bad, just kind of harken back
like a Footloose vibe.
Yeah, like a Footloose vibe, or I think like Tenacious D, like his pair.
Nice.
I guess a memory I have of those early days, because I wanted to be involved with music, mm-hmm. so I had tried to join the choir and sing.
Yep.
And I remember I was told by the pastor of the church, who, by the way, was a very good piano player and singer himself. So he was a musician.
But this was the church that was real strict about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And he told me, he says, when I sing, heaven flies at flag at half mass.
When you sing, he said that about your singing.
Yeah, and
man,
so
that's
kind of
brutal.
Like, don't join the choir.
That's awful.
Don't. Kind of just stay away from music.
Wow.
You're not meant to do that.
Wow.
And so that was like really discouraging. That was really...
Sure. And you're still kind of like a 12-year-old-ish, or were you a little bit older?
No, I guess at that point...
Earlier?
No, at that point I would have been 17.
Oh, okay. So what he said, did that kind of crush your will to sing?
Yeah, I just felt like I'm not meant to do this.
Man,
I'm terrible. I can't, that was the thought process. Well, I don't want to get up and embarrass myself and look like an idiot. So
if he could see you now, though, Chuck.
Yeah. And so I started to kind of try to get involved with media, and then with learning how to mix and do live sound.
Okay.
And so that kind of started me a little bit on that journey.
Nice.
So I don't know. I guess maybe I wouldn't have gotten into audio engineering.
Okay.
Had it not been for that. So I mean, so maybe that's I think maybe a positive that came out of that.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of audio gear? You helped me record one of my first songs, Firm Grip, was recorded here at Chuck's little studio. And we're actually recording this podcast in Chuck's studio because I figured, why should I use my stuff when Chuck's got all this great equipment here? And yeah, he knows a lot about sound. So if anybody has any questions, hit him up.
So this is, I'm not married and I don't have kids. That's what this gear.
So you're saying you have a little bit of money then?
Yeah. I don't have any money. It's all here. I mean, it's all here.
Yeah, we're speaking into it. Yeah. So when did you finally come around to singing again? We might jump around a little bit timeline wise, and when did you finally go back to it?
So, so I went off to one college, and it was a Bible college, kind of in that same vein, and I stayed away from music there. And then I came home. I transferred to another college, and man, the music bug doesn't leave you.
No, it doesn't, for sure.
It never leaves you. And it was there that I said, well, you know what, this is a place where kind of not a lot of people know me. I'm gonna make a try again.
Yeah, man, you can reinvent yourself.
Yeah, and so I went back and kind of joined the choir.
Okay.
There and started singing, and people were not horrified.
Nice.
To my amazement.
I was gonna say, like, did you get like compliments? I mean, for those of you that don't know or haven't heard it yet, Chuck's got a very powerful voice. We lots of times at either open mics or at various venues, we make jokes that he doesn't even need a microphone when he's singing. So I'm curious, Chuck, like when you did finally start singing again, did you get any kind of like positive feedback, and then how did you take that feedback, given what that pastor said years ago? Yeah,
it was cool because people, people, and you remember it's a choir setting, so you have a lot of voices, and so you're trying to sing the parts. And I remember I had taken I decided I'm going to take voice lessons because, people were like, yeah, you got a pretty good voice. Enjoy the choir. We'll have a good time. And I had fun doing that. And so I said, well, I want to get better. So I took voice lessons. Now, at that, I was through the college. So it was a course study in college.
So you signed up for like Voice 101 or something like that. Okay.
The voice teacher, she had, in her younger years, had traveled the country. Her family sung in churches, but she grew up traveling and singing every week. I mean, they were out, and so she was a gigging musician.
That's awesome.
So I looked at her, and her husband had done the same thing, and I looked at them. I mean, they were authorities when it came to this kind of stuff, because she encouraged me a lot to continue singing, and obviously helped me learn techniques and stuff.
What was her name, if you want to give her a shout?
Yeah, it was Mrs. McCluskey. So Pat and Kyla McCluskey. Later on, they had left teaching and went back on the road, and they were on the road, road for a while. I had started writing when I was a kid. I remember I decided I was going to write a song. We were, of course, part of the course study is you got to do rehearsal at the end of the semester, and I wrote a song. And at this point, I had given up guitar for years and years, so I hadn't played. A friend of mine played piano, And I said, well, I kind of wanted to write a song and do it in recital. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, I'll help you out with the music. Let's go. And so we worked on it and put it together. And I remember that was a bad decision because I was absolutely terrified of that recital. Yeah. So this is like the first time I'm singing by myself in public, because I mean that's part of the recital is you have to get up by yourself and perform a song, and it's a song I wrote. So
so there's even another level of bearing your soul or opening yourself up to embarrassment. Not only are you singing in front of people for the first time by yourself, but now you're, hey, here's a song I wrote. So you're hoping that goes well.
I got through it though. I mean, I did it. I performed. People seemed to kind of like the song. And then that kind of started me on the writing journey. Okay. From there, I was just kind of singing in church and in choir and writing. But I started having questions about stuff that was going on and, stuff that we were saying that, especially about music, like some of the music standards. I'm like, this stuff that we're talking about doesn't make any sense.
Okay. I'm intrigued now.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be a lot to go in now, like to get down to the nitty gritty of like some about the stuff. But yeah, like there's a lot of hypocrisy. The music standards were very convenient because a lot of other music, and we're not just talking about like rock and roll music. Like they didn't have, it wasn't just Metallica was bad. It was other Christian music is bad.
Oh, okay. And this is all in the context of the church that you were.
Yes,
okay,
and the college that I was at. So
hold on, this was the college that you were in the choir for or the chorus for?
Yeah, so both colleges.
Okay. All right.
So all of this was consistent. They're all part of kind of the same
so even
independent fundamental Baptist movement.
Okay. And even though you started singing and all that stuff in college, and here, you think that the story starts with, Chuck found a place where he can shine and grow, right. There's still some obstacles.
Yes, because it was very convenient, because like the other Christian music was bad. You didn't listen to Southern gospel. You didn't listen to Christian contemporary because that was bad people were doing that. That was all bad. And conveniently, the only music that was good to listen to was the music that they sold. So,
yeah, that's convenient.
So, yeah. This is, now I look back on it, I'm like, this is brilliant marketing. Like,
you have a captive audience.
Yeah, right. So left there, come back home to Jersey. In there was a back surgery and like all kinds of stuff. Yeah. One of the things that kind of encouraged me to get back into guitar specifically was later on I had a friend who was dating this girl who had some level of success in the Christian music industry, and she was doing she had a country flavor. She essentially was doing country music with Christian lyrics. And and in talking to her, I'm like, oh well, she's not a bad person, and, and she's doing this music, and I had already had a lot of questions. I'd already had issues, and so it's like, okay, this is a new thing. And she played guitar, and my friend had played guitar, and they're like, you should pick up a guitar. Well, I remember it was like, I want to play again, but like I have friends that play guitar, so I don't want to be just another guitar player.
Right.
So I remember, if you're going to buy a guitar and you don't know anything, there's a building that says Guitar Center. That's probably a good place to start. And they had a package deal, and I guess it was right around this time of year because it was coming up on, it's like the kind of the Christmas push. Yeah. And it was I decided I'm going to try mandolin. But they had the deal. It was the Rogue instruments. And that if you bought the mandolin, you got a free guitar. Like it was a package. I remember I bought that, and I said, well, I started to learn mandolin.
Nice.
So Leanne will like that.
Yeah. And that's news to me too. I've known you for a few years now, and I didn't know you played mandolin.
Yeah. So I started playing that, and then I had the guitars just sitting there, And you know, if friends would come over my house, they'd play it and whatever.
Was it an acoustic guitar?
Acoustic guitar, yeah. So and I'm like, yeah, maybe I should learn something. So you know, so I was like, yeah, my friend Jeff, he was the guitar player, and I'm like teach me some. I said, like, I know how to play power chords that I learned when I was, you know, however old, but you know, when I was a kid, I said, but what are some chords of the songs that we were messing around with? And he started showing me the chords, and I started picking guitar back up, and I started playing guitar, and then, you know, that kind of blew up. And I at the time I would write poems here and there, and then I just said, well, if I write poems, just put it to music. And I learned G, C, D, E minor. That's so here you go, man. I got some poems. I got G, C, D, E minor. Let's start writing songs.
Nice. I'm curious about you know, the poetry part of it. You've always kind of written either music, lyrics, songs, or poetry. Mm-hmm. So what kind of came first? How did you I mean, were you just always into like writing, or how did you kind of get into like?
I was always kind of like ashamed to admit it. Like,
really,
it wasn't manly to write a poem, you know. Well, you know what I mean? It's like, songs came first, so I wrote songs as I was a kid. I'm sure they were. I don't know where they're at. I mean, they've been trashed long ago.
And were they just songs that you would like sing to like your mom a cappella or something like that?
Nah, it was when I would play power chords in my room gotcha. And write these songs, you know, about who knows what. And yeah, and that kind of came first. Mm-hmm. And then I figured, well, I'm obviously no good at music, you know, after in that kind of in that kind of time. So I'm like, well, I might as well write poetry. Okay. You know, and I enjoy that. Enjoy creative writing.
Do you have any particular influences, creative writing wise?
It's a little basic, but I love Poe. Okay. I love Edgar Allan Poe. Nice. But a lot of my writing influences are from music.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
You know, so Kurt Cobain, a big influence. Yep. One of the big influences in the kind of the Christian realm was Bill and Gloria Gaither. Okay. And the Gaithers, and I had actually gotten an opportunity to go out to. They're based in Indianapolis, and I had went out. They have a songwriting kind of they call it an intensive, but you know you can apply. And they pick so many people, and you come out and you attend classes with some big writers. And Bill and Gloria Gaither would probably be the Christian equivalent to Bob Dylan.
Oh wow! Okay.
So they're older. Gosh, I think Bill and Gloria are in their 80s at this point. Okay. So they're older, but. Back in the day, they were the ones writing all the songs that everybody was singing. Yep.
And did you go to one of these like workshops or whatever?
Yeah, and I went to one of those workshops and learned a lot. Nice. I learned a lot about songwriting. It was a great experience. But they were a big influence. I love this band called Need to Breathe. They're really good. Mm-hmm. And then all the classic rock stuff.
Sure.
You know. I mean, growing up, there was always like, you know, in my dad's truck, there was country stuff, and then there was Led Zeppelin, and there was, you know, and Allman Brothers, and you know, Leonard Skinner, and you know, all that kind of stuff. You know, a lot of the Southern rock stuff, especially like growing up on a farm.
Okay, like where was that?
In Clarksboro, so essentially the same town that Death of the Fox is.
Yeah. Okay.
So not too far from there. We have a farm. We still have the farm. It's
a working farm, like crops and stuff.
Yeah. So we rent it out right now to another farmer.
Oh, okay.
So we're not. Our family's not farming it anymore.
Gotcha.
But it's rented out.
But back in the day, was your dad out there in the fields and stuff?
Yeah, back in the day.
Wow,
we worked the fields. We grew tomatoes and eggplant and peppers and you know.
Nice.
I remember. I learned what hot peppers were. When your family has a farm, everybody pitches in, everybody's doing something. Yep. And I was packing peppers, but I was packing jalapenos. I was packing hot peppers, and I was young, maybe 7 or 8. But it was cool. I'd go to work with my dad, and then you know you'd pick through and throw out the rotten ones and I had grabbed a bad one and squirted the jalapeno juice directly into my eye.
Oh, no.
I remember my grandma taking me into that because where our packet house was like right behind her house,
Right.
and she took me to the house and we were washing it out. We put milk, trying to
Oh, man.
sop it all out. Yeah,
That's brutal.
but growing up with driving tractors and
Wow.
all that
That's
all
so
that
cool.
stuff.
Yeah, I never knew that about you. That's cool.
So
So you had these influences even as a kid though, like your dad was into like classic rock and stuff like that. Okay.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and then kind of who we think the singing ability comes from, and was my grandfather on my mom's side,
Okay.
who loved big band music.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I have some of that influence from him.
Nice.
The Sinatra and, all those guys, the Rat Pack guys, all those
He would
guys.
listen to that stuff and you'd kind of absorb that.
Yeah, absorb that.
Yep.
And he'd sing along with that. And
Very cool.
Pop Gary.
Okay. So getting back to the instruments, right? You started on mandolin, then you moved to guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Your buddy Jeff, I think you
Yeah,
said,
Jeff,
was showing you some chords. Where did it go from there?
So then I just kept playing. I kept playing. And then I'm like, I kind of like this. And then, of course, it's like, well, maybe I can buy a better guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And then you buy a better guitar. And then it's like...
And then the cycle begins.
And then, yeah. And then, one becomes two and two becomes three. And, then I got an electric guitar. And then that was really cool.
Yeah.
And
How old were you when you got your first electric?
I was in my 30s.
Oh, wow. Okay. And what was it?
It was an Epiphone Les Paul.
Sweet. I still have mine.
Yeah. It was the Special 2.
Mm-hmm.
So it had two humbuckers, but it was this kind of slab body with the bolt-on neck.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And it was cool. I still like the sound of those humbuckers. I mean, it was like $100 guitar, but the ceramic magnets are very much underrated in the guitar world. They really sound good.
Here comes the tech side.
Yeah,
Chuck.
this is the guitar nerd. This is the guitar nerd section of the podcast.
If anybody has any questions about equipment or technology around music, you ask Chuck. He knows the answer.
But it's an unhealthy obsession. But yeah, so that's where it started with the Les Paul.
Mm.
And then
did you try to get into any bands or anything like that?
No. At that point, I just started playing. I was playing at church. Okay. I mean, I guess there's a lot of musicians that kind of get started that way. Sure. Provided that you get into a healthy community.
The supportive one.
Yeah. When it's supportive, it's a good place to learn. Mm-hmm. To learn how to play, and a lot of the songs are pretty easy to pick up, and you can get experience playing in front of people. Yeah.
And with others too.
Yes.
Right?
And with others.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to be like what do you call it? Like a bedroom musician, right? Where you're just sitting there by yourself. It's a whole different ballgame to play with other people for the first time, and making sure that your timing's right and all that stuff. So yeah. I imagine that church experience ultimately was a good teaching experience.
Yeah. Yep. But just thinking about it, looking back, me in my 20s, if in my 20s I look back and saw where I was, I would be so disappointed in myself.
Really?
Yeah, because like in the cult mindset, everything I do is like so bad. I now me in my 40s looking back, it's like, wow, I've grown a lot. Oh yeah, I've learned things. Life has happened. Right. I figured a few things out, and I'm very comfortable with where I'm at right now. So it's not, I'm not, that's not to say, but the guy I was in my 20s would have just been horrified at who I am and what I'm doing, and how far I have strayed. That was getting involved in a cultish religious group was my version of, oh man, I did a lot of drugs when I was. It was just kind of the other side of the,
Yeah, right. Now you've made it through.
So the kind of somewhere in the middle is kind of. I'm kind of bouncing in that. I feel like the middle is probably a good place to be, where we're not going through drug-induced benders, but we're also not like. Right. Telling people they're going to go to hell in the middle of the street either. Right? So we can find a.
so it's not just mandolin and guitar. I mean, I know you also play bass and you also play drums. Is there any other instruments I'm missing?
Yeah, about covers it.
Okay. Cool. So when did you pick up either one of those?
Yeah, so bass is just an offshoot of guitar. I started recording. I was writing a lot, and I'm like, well, I should probably record this stuff because I want. And it's kind of gotten to recording, and I'm like, well, I can kind of make a full band.
Yeah.
If and so I would overdub stuff, and it's like, well, I'd like to have bass on the song. So I'm like,
to round out the sound.
Yeah,
Yep.
Well, let me get a bass and learn how to play bass,
Nice.
and then kind of figure that out and just listen to a lot of music. And then I'm like, well, I'd like to have drums, but I'd like to not just program it. Like I'd like to have the human element.
Sure.
In it. And
how did that go? Because I am not a drummer, and I'm basically a one instrument guy. I play guitar, and I play a little bit of bass for just like you for recording purposes. But how did you make the leap to say, like, I guess I'll go buy a drum set now? Like, how did that happen?
I just did it. I just went out and bought a drum set, and I did take lessons. I did take for lessons for I guess about 6 months.
Yeah.
And I needed them.
Oh yeah, were they beneficial?
Yeah, because it was bad. I mean, it's just like anything you start. You're never good the first time, but the jump from guitar to bass is not a big jump.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a pretty easy jump. But from guitar to drums, it's a lot bigger jump because you're using all of your appendages.
Sure.
And trying to coordinate that in your brain. And I'm still, I would say, beginner level drummer.
Okay.
I'm not, I'm not Neil Peart over here at all. Not even close. Matter of fact, when I do band stuff, you had Michael Songs on a little while. He's Michael Drums hangs out. So. Yeah, but he's been playing drums for a really long time. He's a great drummer.
Yeah, I remember you telling me he was really good. So let's talk about that a little bit. You got this kind of project going on with Michael Songs and Shay Arthur.
Yeah, it's kind of Michael's brainchild, Michael and Shay, and they were gracious enough to let me, be involved, and they'd come to me and say, well, we want to do this, because it started with that Brew Littles, the Brew Littles gig, and he said, well, can we do a couple of songs, and maybe can you play on a couple of ours? And I was like, yeah, man, this is great. And I'm like, well, do you have a bass player? And they're like, well, we do now. And so I kind of jumped in on bass.
Okay.
I kind of volunteered for that because playing bass is cool. I like it because you have a lot of control as a bass player.
Okay.
But to be a good bass player, I'm not saying that I'm necessarily there yet. I have a lot to learn on bass. There's a lot of theory, kind of not like deep theory involved, but you kind of got to know what you're playing over the chord. So, I mean, you can get by just playing the root note. If it's a G, you play a G.
That's how I play bass, basically.
Right. But to reharmonize the chord, sometimes because when you change the bass note, you can create inversions,
Sure. Yep.
So, I mean, the easy thing is like if it's a G chord, you play a D over it, and now you're, you play the fifth, but then, go to the seventh or go to the fourth. You can create different harmonies. So there's a lot of fun playing bass, and sometimes the best note is the root note. A lot of it you can just play root notes, but if you just play passing tones to get to the next root note, you create really cool bass lines. Or you throw a dominant seventh in, now you've kind of reharmonize the chord. It's really cool. So that's the fun part about playing bass, and then being able to lock in, especially the bass player and the drummer have to be on the same page. It doesn't sound good. And so, locking in with Michael,
that's cool.
Yeah, having a great drummer really helps.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool. Random question just popped into my head. If you could be the world's greatest guitar player or the world's greatest bass player, which would you pick? Bass, really?
Bass. Because, well, number one, there are a lot of guitar players. There's a lot more guitar.
There's only one world's greatest, though, Chuck.
there's a lot, but from a songwriting perspective, and from a composition perspective,
Right.
or arranging, producing that. I think that's the word I'm looking for.
Yep.
From a production perspective, when you're trying to produce a song, having the right bass line, well, and drums are along with that. Having that rhythm section,
Sure.
having great rhythm guitar playing, great bass playing, great drumming makes a song.
Yeah.
Because on that's the foundation that everything can sit on.
Sure.
So now you can put your leads in. Now you can, put your vocals in. Now you can, put key parts and stuff like that in. But you need that rhythm section to be solid.
Yeah.
And it has to fit the song, right? The parts have to fit the song.
It reminds me of I think I read an article somewhere about Metallica, old school Metallica, like Cliff Burton was such an essential piece of that band.
Oh my gosh.
And a lot of people, if there's any hardcore Metallica fans out there, a lot of people might disagree with what I'm going to say, but a lot of people think that like once he was gone, that really changed the band's writing ability and stuff, because I think out of those 4 original guys, whether you're talking about Dave Mustaine or Kirk Hammett on guitar, out of the original 4, I think Cliff knew more theory than all of them. Like he was more classically trained. So yeah, it just kind of solidifies what you were just saying about the importance of like a solid bass line.
Yeah, him, Cliff Burton and Lars locking in.
Yeah, yep.
Is because it's not just the bass. That bass player has to lock in with the drummer.
Yep.
And they need to work. And when they're working together, it's, I mean, he was unreal.
Yeah.
And you can tell you're a fan of Metallica because you know who the bass player is.
Yeah. So we got this project with Michael Songs, Shay Arthur. Is there anything in the works for that right now? Anything coming up that you're aware of yet?
Yes, and so we're working stuff out now. We're meeting and we're practicing on a weekly basis, getting together and working on some stuff. Brian Westwell has been involved with us.
Westervelt, he was episode 5.
Yep, he was. Yeah, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. So
That's right.
Listen to all those.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm really enjoying playing those guys, and we're working stuff out and kind of figuring things out. I think we are beginning to play on Valentine's Day.
Nice.
At the actually not too far from here at the Virga VFW.
Oh, okay.
And so I can't think of a better place to take your date on Valentine's Day than the VFW.
There you go. Hey.
To listen to Song Swap. We got some.
That's right.
We got some. But we're trying to, we're bringing in other people. I think there's some other people. I don't want to say unless it's not.
Totally fine.
But people are confirming. But there's going to be a lot others jumping in, and I think that's kind of the cool part. We're kind of developing the band a little bit, and the idea is to bring other artists in and like, hey, we'll play each other's songs and have a good time.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So
that's awesome. Okay, so in addition to that, you've also got a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Like, when did you start the YouTube channel? What has been the content? What's the content going to be going forward? Things like that.
That's a wonderful question.
I know, that's why I asked it.
And it's a wonderful question because it's hard to answer. So with my YouTube channel, I guess I had started in 2020. So when the pandemic hit, I decided that I was going to release a song every month.
Okay.
And I did that to varying degrees of success. Some of them are a little rough going back. It was kind of my first time trying to do a project of that size, where I'm gonna record, mix, master all myself at the old house in the basement studio. I'm gonna do all of that there, and go from soup to nuts, releasing it once a month, which was ambitious.
Yeah, it's a tall order.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. but it was difficult. But I did it, and so I'm like, well, I'm gonna post them on YouTube. You know, I released them and they're on Apple Music, Spotify.
Yep.
You know,
Spotify.
if you look it up, if you look up Chuck M, you're gonna see Chuck Magnolia. Come on. But if you scroll down a lot farther, you might find me.
That's right. Chuck and then the letter M. That's it. Chuck M.
Yeah, because my last name is hard to pronounce and kind of long, so we're gonna make it nice and concise.
There you go. Well, you've got like 14 songs out on, at least from what I saw on Apple Music.
Some of them I'm proud of. Some of them aren't. Like some of them, were mixes and masters that I tried to put together too quickly to make deadlines. But is it Mary Spencer's "Done is better than perfect"?
Exactly.
And so that was kind of the idea, and I learned so much through that, and then I was posting, and then I kind of waned off. So I was a little bit aimless with what to do with the channel. And then I decided to get in, I guess around 2022. I have gear.
Gear reviews.
Right? Gear reviews.
Quite a few of those.
And music production, music writing, like just kind of all that stuff I wanted to get into. So I started making videos on that stuff, but last summer I kind of fell off a little bit.
Sure.
And I got busy gigging, which was great. But I lost was just time trying to figure where to put it in, and YouTube is not something you can just
do kind of casually if you want to stay on a schedule, right? Like at YouTube, they say you're supposed to be releasing videos once a week to try to maintain and build an audience, and that's not easy when you're talking about shooting the video, coming up with content, shooting the video, editing the video, which always takes forever, and then finally posting it.
And editing is the longest part. And so my frequency started to die off, and then I was trying to figure out how to give videos, and I started looking into live streaming and trying to get that stuff in. And then once the opportunity came to buy the new house that I'm in, it was like, well, all bets were off, because now I'm trying to figure out everything.
Sure.
And
what's the plan though for YouTube? I know we briefly talked about it another time, but I think you said you wanted to get into a little bit more live streaming because it alleviates the editing.
I think that's the direction I want to go for the short term, is to, because then I can, and the room we're sitting in will eventually be a video studio, and the idea is for it to be turnkey. I can come in and maybe move whatever gear in that I'm reviewing or that needed to do whatever I want to do for that particular live stream it, and then that way I don't have the editing piece to save time. Now, eventually I want to go back to edited content. Hopefully by that time I can afford to hire an editor.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah.
I mean, that's so. I mean, that's really what I need.
I think a lot of folks do, actually. I've seen a few videos of people recommending, go to Fiverr or whatever.
Yeah.
And just you can do it all digitally, and you could shoot a video during the day, send it out to somebody over in overseas somewhere. They can edit it while you're sleeping, and then you can upload it the next morning.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of. That's kind of where I want to go. There's an expense to that.
Sure.
And, I need to have budget for that, and it needs to make sense. I love doing this. I love YouTube. I love music. I love it. But it is something that I want to pursue as a career.
Yeah.
I'm looking, the short-term plan is to do live streams and then YouTube shorts.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And you take those live streams, cut them up into short form content,
there you go.
And put out and go the shorts route.
You host a regular open mic at Death of a Fox in Clarksboro, New Jersey. It's a great open mic. There are lots of musicians that go there on a regular basis. It's it's an inviting environment. So if you're new to the scene or new to open mics, it's definitely a friendly one to go to. How long have you been doing that now?
2 years, I guess.
It's been 2 years? Yeah.
I guess it's been 2 years. So, for those that are familiar with the scene here in South Jersey. Yeah, I mean that was Joe Grasso's gig, and because me and Joe are tight, and Joe was pretty encouraging because when I went, because Death of the Fox was the first open mic I ever did.
Oh, okay.
I didn't even know open mics were a thing, and I saw, oddly enough, I was on a date at Death of the Fox because you do the coffee date when you first meet somebody online. You want to make sure they're actually a human. It's not like a Manti Te'o situation. So so I went there and I saw a thing that said, "Oh my God, they have an open mic here," and I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna come back on Tuesday and bring my guitar and see what happens." So I was like, "Oh, okay, I got to work on a couple songs. I had like 5 songs. I'm gonna bring 5 songs. I don't know how many songs I'll be able to do. Maybe it's just one. I don't know. Right. But I'm gonna have some stuff ready." Yeah. And you said the playing in church and stuff, like it's not my first rodeo. It's first playing in front of people, so it wasn't like, "Oh, this is the first time I'm playing." So I didn't have that, but it was just like, all right, let me try to make sure I'm prepared. And went in and Joe was running it, and I mean it's always Joe's gig. So if Joe is back and wants to run it, we work together really well. So it's not a big deal from that perspective. But but he was super encouraging that first time, and I guess through there I met you and Leanne and so many others. So many other friendships that have been super important. I mean, I've appreciated the support. I mean, my first you kind of helped me out with my first paying gig with Ron Johns.
Ron Johns, yeah, that's right.
which was a wild gig because you're just playing as people are shopping.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
So it was cool. I loved it. It was great, but such a great community.
It is. It's a really nice, supportive scene in general, right? It's the main reason why I started this podcast. Was really, there's so much talent in the South Jersey area that I was kind of like, man, it's a real shame that not more people know about these musicians and this area. So yeah, this is really just kind of a platform for everybody to kind of get to know each other, tell your story, another platform to promote yourself. And then if somebody is out there listening who doesn't know the music scene in this area, or maybe they're new to the area, then hopefully they get some pointers on where to go and who to talk to and things like that. I mean, it's a very, very supportive group, and at all of the open mics, like in the area and regular gigs and all that stuff. It's great. It's really great. And the people that you meet in the scene almost always become friends.
Yeah.
Yes. So
and we're open to have more people.
That's right. That's right. The more the merrier.
Yeah, and it does, like my past experiences with being with being discouraged, like being told you're no good.
Right. Yep.
Really does inform how I approach running an open mic. Mm-hmm. Not everybody that comes to the open mic wants to be a professional musician.
Right.
People just want to come out and play. I mean, we have some people that are retired and just want to come and drink a cup of coffee and play some guitar. And, you meet some amazing people and interesting people and wild stories, of I think it's, some of the older people that come out and the lives that they lived and the things that they've done. It's, you meet some awesome people. And so not everybody, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Not everybody, not everyone that picks up a guitar needs to be a guitar YouTuber. If that's not what you want to do, that's fine. Not everybody has to be a professional musician, but we can all come out. We can be supportive. We can help each other out. We can encourage each other, and we can have fun.
Absolutely.
If you're not having fun, what are you doing? Yeah.
Exactly. What does 2025 look like for you? Do you think?
Interesting. So a big part of early 2025 is going to be getting things set up here with the video space. I want to get a tracking room space. And then maybe afterwards I'll show you the room.
Okay.
I'm gonna put the goal is to build an Atmos mixing room.
Oh,
so nice. I want to start mixing in Atmos. and have a full 12 speaker. I'm going 12 speaker as opposed to the 16 speakers. I just don't. It's a smaller room.
Sure.
But is to build those studios out. That's a lot of projects. So it's going to take a long time to do all of that. And some expense. There's some expense to that too. I mean, I have a lot of the stuff I need to do it. But there are some things I'm gonna have to build and acoustic treatment, and I have a lot of the speakers. But it's just building out a lot of these rooms is gonna take some time. So that's a big part of it. Taking a step forward, in gigging and trying to grab some more gigs, and so I've made some relationships, and have booked some stuff. But like I really wanted to hit it hard in November, and I didn't have a chance to. And I feel like I've hamstrung myself a little bit as far as booking ahead. I know some of the places that I have developed some relationships by filling in for people that I might be a little late on booking some stuff. So, so it's just going to be trying to build more relationships with more venues and get into more places and gig more and more and more with the eventual goal of going full time.
Very cool. Very cool.
And then I think circling back to the YouTube, my goal this year for YouTube is just to figure out how to do YouTube with my schedule. Yeah. So that I don't have any delusions of grandeur with YouTube. This year it's just trying to figure out a workflow, and then I feel like then maybe in 2026 start to make a jump with that, because I'm gonna need YouTube income to go full time. Yeah, I can't do it on gigs alone.
Yeah, I think that's what it's like being a musician in 2024 nowadays. Whether you're a cover musician or an original musician, you can't live, I don't think, on just gigging alone, right? You need merchandise sales. You need another stream of income like YouTube or hopefully a podcast, fingers crossed, stuff like that. You need multiple sources of income to make it a full-time.
Or a sugar spouse.
There you go. Thank you very much for doing it. I appreciate it. Thank you for being on the podcast. It was a great talk. What are you going to play for?
All right. So I think first I'm going to do a song like Coming Home, it's called. Just a kind of a country or Americana or just love song, just about coming home. You're out working all day and then you come home to the person you love. Nice. And so the second song is maybe a little bit different, is a lot different. So the next song, more R&B blues kind of stuff, kind of fits me better. I really love that kind of music. I really love Motown. Sure. Then the second one's kind of in that vein, and it's a little bit of a reflection of the desperation of dating in your 40s. Or not desperation is not the right word. It's just that like you're almost just resigned to your fate sometimes. Like it's just like all the pretense is gone. Sure. Like what are we playing? The games are gone. Get over the games it's just
when you hit a certain age, I think.
So it's like, all right, you like me, I like you, then let's try something. That song is called "I Need a Woman." All right, so this first song, like I said, is just about the idea of the one that I think a lot of times our view of love is like sparks and fireworks, but I think maybe the best relationships are when that person is your person and you feel like coming home. It's that like so that's kind of what this song is about. Baby, you are like coming home, like reaping a good seed sown on the road when I'm feeling alone. Baby, you are like coming home. When I'm out making our living, in my mind is the love you're giving. And I know that come days and you'll be where you belong in my arms again. Baby, you are like coming home, like reaping a good seed sown on the road when I'm feeling alone. Baby, you are like coming home. When you hurt, I feel your pain. When you smile, I do the same. Either way, forever it will be here where you belong, standing next to me. And when we are old and gray, and on the day I pass away, it will be said by the stars above, the greatest thing I ever did was give you love. Oh, the greatest thing I ever did was give you love. Oh, baby, you are like coming home, like reaping a good seed sown on the road when I'm feeling alone. Baby, you are like coming home on the road when I'm feeling alone. Baby, you are like coming home.
All right. Nicely done, Chuck. Nicely done.
Yeah, all right, so this next song is, like you said, probably the idea of dating in your 40s and the games are over, and it's like, let's just be direct and figure this thing out. So that's kind of what this song is about, and we're gonna have Dave rock out on his beautiful Stratocaster. So here we go. You're a tall drink of water, I'm thirsty and dry. Your love's valiant martyr, and I'm swinging souls tonight. I need a woman, it's sad but it's true. I need a woman. It might be you, might be you, baby. You're sweet and pretty, I'm rough and wild. For me you'll take pity, I'll show you slow and mild. I need a woman, sad but it's true. I need a woman. It might be you, only love, just some attraction. Indulge in me, baby, and I'll be a man of action. I need a woman, sad but it's true. I need a woman. It might be you, might be baby. Yeah, yeah. I need a woman, sad but it's true. I need a woman. It might be, I said it might be you.
All right.
All right, that was fun.